Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Suitcase and Chardonnay podcast, an extension of my blog by the same name. I'm your host, Renate Engelbrecht, and here we talk all things lifestyle, travel, fashion, food, and wine. Executive Chef Pellie Grobler is no stranger to Pretoria's culinary scene. He's currently leading the team at Smoke, a trendy food spot at the village in the popular neighborhood Hazelwood. The village is constantly evolving with new restaurants popping up regularly, and in this episode, Pellie shares his secret to staying relevant and top of mind while staying true to his roots. With South Africa celebrating Heritage Day on 24 September, what better way to take part in the celebrations than to listen in on how Chef Pellie Grobler plates heritage and nostalgia while staying on trend. Here's my conversation with him, with a little bit of background noise from Smoke Restaurant peppered throughout to add some flavor. Pellie, it is so nice to be here with you this morning and to talk about all things heritage and culinary mastery and everything else. And here in this beautiful space, it's lovely to actually also just experience Smoke. I've dined here before and it is remarkable. So maybe just tell the listeners who don't know the man behind the food on the plate, how did you end up in the industry and also at Smoke specifically?
Yeah, I think thanks Renata for joining me today. At Smoke, and it's always nice to have a chat with you about food.
Yes.
I think my journey as a chef is well known out in the industry. Had my own restaurants, been involved in a couple of other restaurants, and the whole theme of Smoke has just spoken true to my nature and my style of cooking and what I enjoy doing. And that's actually why I ended up at Smoke. Is one of the key things for me is how do we pull in South African heritage into cuisine, and that was mainly one of their focuses as well. Starting Smoke is to say, how do we celebrate South Africa? How do we celebrate the things that South Africans like? Fire, open fire, smoke, great drinks, open air. How do we celebrate that? And that's spoke so true to who I am as a person and also as a chef, what I like to do.
Yeah. So tell me, bringing that heritage onto the plate, it feels to me like it could be quite the challenge because we are used to the Braai culture, but I mean, obviously, looking at the interiors of Smoke and everything else, you need to kind of elevate it on the plate. Am I correct?
Yes.
So how do you go about that? Where do you find your inspiration, and how do you put something on the plate that not only tastes wonderful but also looks beautiful on the plate?
Yeah, I think that's the challenge as a chef, as any chef out there, is to say, how do we take something that we all know and love? Let's take a simple braai breakie, for instance, and we all know and we love it and we cook it at home and everyone does it. And how do we take that from being a ordinary, something that you can do at home, to, wow, I cannot do this at home. And that's my job at the end of the day. I think inspirationally wise, we are so blessed in South Africa to have, the heritage that we have, the diversity that we have to specifically in the food scene. If you think about just, from Durban to Cape Town to Gauteng to, it's just to Pretoria, at the end of the day, it doesn't end.
Yeah.
The book is very thick, if I can put it that way. I always try to think outside the box. I always try to think of what I can offer guests that they won't be able to recreate at home. But with those nostalgic flavors, those flavors that we all know and love, but just on a different level and elevated. I think that's what we get right at Smoke extremely well, is to take the Braai culture, if I can put it that way, and say, right, how do we take our open fire cooking and we just take it from a normal steak on the grill to something that's completely different from what you used to, but the flavors are still nostalgic.
Yes, yeah. And obviously you don't just braai You do a lot of
No.
different ways of cooking the meat and everything.
Yeah, so I think the great thing with smoke is that, our main focus is actually on smoke. So not necessarily smoking of meat. It is a big focus, but also just the smoke in itself is what does it lend to the experience of the restaurant. So we've got these big smokers that we use to smoke briskets and short ribs and chicken wings and pork ribs and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we use that not necessarily as American as smoking is. We use that as an enhancement tool. Same way a winemaker would use a new wine barrel to enhance the flavor of his wine, or the same way we would use salt in a dish. So we love using different cooking techniques. We've pushed quite hard into what our signatures are here at Smoke, and we really look at charring stuff, burning stuff, and smoking stuff. And burning, not necessarily burning it to give it to the guests, but if you take a leek, for instance, and you char it completely black, it becomes super soft and moist and delicious and sort of almost a sweet flavor on the inside,
wow.
which adds a lot to a dish.
Yeah.
So, how do we use those elements? How do we use different cooking techniques to make sure that we at the end of the day can elevate the dish to a restaurant quality?
Yeah. And have you had people in your life who assisted in bringing that heritage to life on the plate? Have you, like a mom or a grandmom, or?
Well, I'm blessed. I think my mom makes great food. She always has, and we were fortunate that she can cook, and we didn't have to do the 2-minute noodles all the time. But I think my food memories wise is definitely from my grandmother. We used to go every June, July holidays, school holidays. We used to go and visit Gran, and she would phone, ahead of time to say, "What do you want for dinner on the first night that you get there?" And she used to do this. She used to call it krummel steak, which is basically a schnitzel, but such loose crumbs, fried in slow shallow frying, with basically a potato bake, but she used to call it roomaartappels. So I think for me, food has always just been forefront, and it's always been something that I really think about texturally, which I think I get from those young experiences of what is a krummel steak? What is it? What does it do? How does she get it right so well? And as you grow older, you try to replicate it, and you still go like, she still made it better than what I do. So yeah.
Yeah, I think many times the experience around food also adds to the flavor. I really believe that, because, like you say, it tasted better when your gran made it, and sometimes it really is just because she made it.
Yes, exactly. No, I think I think for me, we've known each other a long time, and you know that my philosophy around cooking is about experience in a restaurant. And yes, you can make exceptionally great dishes, but you can also give people a proper experience, something that they can remember. Food is such a memory. How can I say? It locks in that memory the first time you tasted this, the first time you experienced this, the first experience in smoke, for instance. It really is one of those nostalgic, pulls you back into it. It's like almost like listening to music. It's like the first time you heard the song. Same way with food. It's the first time you've tasted this dish. You can actually go back and pinpoint exactly when you did. So for us, it's a big focus is on experience, and how do we elevate it from what elements can we add into the restaurant? What elements can we add? How can we take fire, for instance, to the table? How do we offer guests something that they're going to remember forever, or come back for exactly for this dish because this was such an experience for them?
Yes, yeah. Are there any recipes that you've kind of reworked or just taken and used in the kitchen from your grandmother's recipe books, maybe, or?
Well, I think I always use everything to my that I have available, in terms of old recipe books, grandmother's recipe books, mother's flavors. I think we're busy in an innovation session at the moment where, the humble potato salad, for instance, is how do we take that and we elevate that to give guests a phenomenal experience in terms of the nostalgic element to it, but also the actual how great is this dish. So I do look at literally all of those things, and then break it down into how can we take this, even if it's a small element like a potato salad, for instance, how can we elevate this to restaurant quality, through textures, through different flavors, through different cooking techniques, but still making sure that we, at the end of the day, hit that sort of nostalgic. This is what it is. It's a potato salad, and we've just taken it to the whole nother level.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's so exciting. I wish I could be a fly on the wall just to see how you think, in that kitchen, how you take things apart, and look at it from a different.
Notebooks or not? Notebooks. A lot of notebooks. I have notebooks with scribbles in it of if I've tasted something somewhere in someone's house, or if I've seen something that I love. A simple thing like walking in a forest and you're crunching of the dried leaves, which we've had now in wintertime. Those things all play a part in creating dishes, believe it or not. I think the sound of it, the feel of it, the texture of things, for me is very important. And how do we take that from nature or from wherever I've tasted it or seen it or whatever, and how do we incorporate that into the restaurant, still staying within our within what we want to do and what we want to achieve as Smoke.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think it's so sad that these kind of stories sometimes get lost, between the kitchen and that innovation and the menu. Like, people order something, but they don't necessarily realize what the story is behind a dish.
Yeah.
Is there a way that you kind of, get that story to the guests at some point?
I think definitely. I mean, that's what waiters are there for. That's where our serving staff comes into place, is to create those stories for them. I think stories at the end of the day sell food, sell wine, sell. People buy into stories.
Absolutely.
And for us, it's important that people understand where the dish comes from, what the story is behind the dish. We've also created quite a few dishes where either myself or one of my team has to go to the table to present the dish or to add on to the dish. And that gives us our opportunity to interact with guests and give guests the opportunity to ask the questions that they want to know.
If you're in Cape Town this Heritage Day, or merely looking for Cape Town restaurants where you can find authentic South African flavors other than the traditional braai, head on over to the Suitcase and Chardonnay blog, where you'll find a list of 5 of my favorites. Think salted snoek pate with amagwenya, a local chef's take on the nostalgic small memories of your childhood, mealie sump with beef shin and chakalaka, and much more. Find it on www.suitcaseandchardonnay.co.za. Is there a dish on the menu that you could highly recommend for someone who really wants to taste heritage in South Africa?
Well, I think, it's going to sound very, how can I say, plain, but we do a pap, kayangs, and chakalaka, which is really, in my opinion, probably one of the best dishes you're going to eat in any restaurant, let alone in our restaurant. It's that heritage. It's that, that's what we used to eat. That's what, a quick meal sometimes at home is. It's just whatever there is. Let's go for pap. Let's make chakalaka quickly. Let's do. Where for us, it's we just take that and we elevate it, and we're fortunate enough to have fantastic smokers that we can use, and we can, smoke the pap, for instance, and we can, smoke the kayangs, and the chakalaka is just the flavors of Cape Malay all over. And I really think that's a dish that a lot of people, that surprises a lot of people, because it's such a simple dish, but yet it packs so much flavor and so much nostalgia that you can't help but go back to the first time you had chakalaka, for instance, or the first time you tasted really great pap. So for us, I think I would go for that, or even maybe the humble braai broodjie. You know, we've done that. We do it exceptionally well, and you know, it starts with baking your own sourdough loaves, and making your own pestos and making your own pickles and whatever you want to put on. So for us, it's the humble braai broodjie is actually sometimes a staple in the restaurant where people go like, I just want a quick little snack, or do us a braai broodjie for the table to share, which is what we do in our own homes. And we want to translate that from, we want to be a welcoming restaurant. We want people to feel you can do whatever you do at home, you can do here. The food is just better. At the end of the day.
What is coming up for Smoke in the next couple of months?
Yeah, so there's exciting things for Smoke coming up. We're going to do a revamp of the restaurant, so interior spaces, if I can put it that way. The restaurant's now open for almost 3 years, so for us it's time to sort of look at what we want to achieve and what did we set out from in the beginning. So we're looking at a revamp of the interior spaces, which is super exciting, and we cannot actually wait for that to start. Right now, at the moment, we are in an innovation phase where we call it innovation, where we create new dishes, we plan new menus, we plan menu for summer, for running from November till next year, sort of April. We, so that's the fun part for me. It's creating stuff that people, that my team can taste, and that we can all work together towards to say this is better than what we currently have on our menu. Let's go into this. Let's refine this a little bit more. It also gives my team the opportunity to push their limits and push their boundaries and learn new techniques and try new flavors. Which is an important part of any restaurant, I believe. I think you can't just stagnate as a restaurant. You need to ever evolve. You need to be able to say, okay, cool, these are top sellers, and we're going to not necessarily change them, but let's look at something fresh and interesting. It keeps the guests coming back at the end of the day. If there's something new, if you come to a restaurant twice and it's the same thing over and over, then you become sort of, let me go and try something else. Where if there's something new on the menu, you go like, okay, well, maybe I should come back again in a month or 2 months.
Yes,
So innovation is a big part for us, and that's sort of our main focus for this month. Every day we innovate. Every day we do new dishes. Every day we taste new dishes, which is the fun. It's really the fun part of a restaurant.
But I can imagine only, it must also be quite the challenge, because you need to do that on top of everything else.
Yes, it is. That's, you sort of have to take a week break away just to go and clear your head, to go, okay, these are the dishes that I want to do. I think the difference between a seasoned chef like myself and some of the younger kids is that they want to do so much where I want to do so little but refine.
So in Pretoria in particular, but also the bigger picture of the culinary scene in South Africa, it must be quite challenging to stay top of mind. How do you stay top of mind?
Yeah, I think we're very fortunate in Pretoria with the amount of restaurants that's been popping up and that's been opening. It enhances the how can I say, culinary scene. From different flavors to different concepts. It keeps us motivated. It drives us as Smoke to offer a brilliant experience. I think for us the main focus is on experience. Is what can we offer a guest that no one else can offer? Yes, a lot of places can offer great food and a lot of places can offer great service. But how do we stay number one? And for us, it's about the experience that we offer the guest. And once again, I think ever evolving is sort of looking at new dishes, looking at new concepts. What are the trends outside? What are the in the world? What are the stuff that we actually want to achieve? What are the trends that we want to set?
Yes.
So for us, it's constantly evolving, constantly looking at ways to improve the restaurant, ways to improve the dining experience, ways to improve the food. And if you have a team that has that mentality where we go, we just want to be better than what we were yesterday, in all aspects, then it's hard for other restaurants to compete with us, because you know, that mentality of always challenging ourselves, not holding ourselves accountable for anyone else, but just holding ourselves accountable for who we are as Smoke and what we want to achieve. So I think that's, you know, that's our main sort of focus for staying top of mind.
Yeah, I love that way of thinking, because it's like you also said, where you with the innovation, where you focus on one thing and you kind of make it smaller for yourself. And it's the same with the restaurant itself. If you just focus on yourselves and not what's happening around you, then it's more possible to...
Yeah, I think you can, you know, in our space, to give you an idea, in a 10-kilometer radius from Smoke, there's 40 restaurants. So we can either focus on, oh, I can't believe another restaurant's been opening, or, you know, these guys are doing great steaks, or these guys are, you know, took our throw pillows and used it in their restaurant, for instance, or whatever the case is. We can either focus on that, or we can focus on ourselves. And for us, it's we want to be better every day for ourselves and better than what we are. We are not focused on our competition or focused on other restaurants. So I think for us, it makes it, like you say, you sort of focus on, if you hone in on yourself, your mistakes, your things that you can improve on, it makes it a lot easier because you're not necessarily bothered about anyone else around you. You know, and you must remember, guests always, it's always great for guests to go and experience other dishes and other food. It broadens their palates, it broadens their food experience. And that in itself allows us then to push our boundaries, to say, well, guests in Pretoria and in Gauteng per se is experiencing a lot more Asian flavors. So how can we incorporate Asian flavors into a Smoke, for instance? Or they are incorporated, or you know, more open to fish dishes, for instance, or whatever the case is. So it allows us to then go and say, okay, well, you know, there are so many fish restaurants in Pretoria. How do we take that and we create something that's truly Smoke, truly South African, but is completely our look and feel? So it's competition is not necessarily a bad thing for us.
No, it makes you think differently.
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing. Pellie, thank you so much. It was nice chatting to you, and I wish you all the best with all the new innovations and new plans, and looking forward to having dinner here again.
Thanks, Renate. Yeah, it's just really like having a chat, and thank you for the opportunity that we could sort of showcase a little bit of the heritage of South Africa.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
South Africa is filled with flavor, whether it's the people you meet or the food you eat. It's a country so diverse and beautiful that you can't not celebrate Heritage Day. So, to those South Africans listening, happy Heritage Day. And to those exploring our beautiful country, be sure to try our heritage dishes, whether it's braai meat with locals, Chef Pellie's plated heritage, or my favorite, the humble cook sister. Until next time.